Okay, so chapter 4.4, part 4 deals with factoring perfect squares. So we have perfect square binomials, which a perfect square is, does anyone know what a perfect square is? So 4 is a good one. A perfect square would be a number times itself is equal to a perfect square. So all these numbers on the right are going to be perfect squares. So 1 times 1 is equal to 1, so 1's a perfect square. 2 times 2 is 4, so 4 is a perfect square. 3 times 3? 9. 9's a perfect square. 4 times 4? 5 times 5? 6 times 6? So all of these are perfect squares. So here we have a little shortcut. When we have a perfect square, and in the middle we have 2 times a times b plus another perfect square, we can just plug it into this equation. So first we're going to find what our a and our b are. So we have x squared is equal to our a squared. How do we find what a is all by itself? What do we need to do? If a is being squared, what do we do to reverse that squared? What's the opposite of squared? Square root. So we take the square root of both sides. So a is going to be equal to x. Now for b. B squared is equal to 25. So how do we find what b is all by itself? So I got that from right here. So we take the square root of b squared and the square root of 25. So b is equal to 5. So now we need to see if it satisfies this part in the middle, 2a times b. We need to see if that gives us negative 10. So we have 2 times a. What's our a? What did we say our a was? X. And what's our b? 5. So what's 2 times x times 5? 10x. So 10x, perfect. That's what we were looking for, 10x in the middle. So now we can use our shortcut and just plug in our a plus b. So what did we say our a was?
A is x.
A is x, and what's our b? 5.
5.
So our answer is going to be x plus 5 squared.
So you only squared a and a b?
So we take the square root of the a and the b to find out what just a and b are, because we need just to plug in a and b here. So it's not once you get practice.
So it would be the 2 outsides?
Yes, the 2 outsides.
Okay.
Let's look at the next example. So we have 36x squared plus 12x plus 4. So this example is wrong. Pretend that this is a 24x in the middle. So just change the 12x to 24. So we take the square root. So our a squared is going to be our first number here, which is 36x squared. So we do the square root of both of them. And our a is equal to? 6 what?
6 squared.
6x.
6x.
Yeah, we need to include that x. Now our b squared is equal to 4. So we do the square root of both of them. And what do we get for b? 2. Now we need to see if it satisfies our 2ab in the middle. So we do 2 times a, so 2 times 6x times b, which is 2. And what do we get?
24.
24x, so perfect. That works. We can use our shortcut now. So we're just going to plug it in to the parentheses squared. So what's our A?
The A is 6.
And what's our B?
2.
So the A is 6x, and our B is 2. So 6x plus 2 squared is our answer.
Oh, so you do the 2 outside, then add up to the middle?
Mm-hmm. So these two examples, we've had plus signs in the middle. Our next example, we're going to have a minus sign. Any questions on these?
So you only square
The first and last. Mm-hmm.
And the middle one.
The middle one, we just need to make sure that 2 times A times B gives us the number in the middle. So 2 times 6x times 2 is 24x. So 24x was 24x, what we had in the middle. So now we can use this shortcut here. Okay, let's do the next one. So now we're doing the same thing, but our first plus sign becomes a minus sign, and we're going to do A minus B in our answer. So when we have a minus sign in our equation, we're going to have a minus sign in our answer. So what's our A? What's our A squared? 4x squared. And how do we find A all by itself?
Square root.
We take the square root. So 2 what?
Wait, so what's that thing on top? Is that the equation?
Yeah, this is the equation.
Oh my god.
What's our A?
2.
2 what?
X.
2x. Now our B squared,
6.
36, so just B is 6. So if we do negative 2 times A times B, so negative 2 times 2x times 6, what do we get? Negative 24x. So that's what we have in the middle, so now we can use our shortcut. So now we're going to do A minus B squared. So what's our A?
A is 2.
2x
2x plus 6.
minus 6. Because remember, we started with a minus sign in our equation, so we're going to have a minus sign in our answer.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you multiply that by 2, the 2x and 6?
Because we just need to make sure that it satisfies this part in the middle.
Okay, so for every question, it's going to be multiplied by -2.
Yes, but really, we're not doing anything with this. It just has to be equal to this part,
So that's just to check it.
just to check it. Yes. Okay, let's look at one. So how do we find our A?
Can I go after?
Yes. What's our A going to be?
8.
64. Yeah, what you say?
8 what?
8x squared.
8x.
Why is it not squared?
Well,
You don't put it in.
Oh.
I skipped that step, right? So if we were finding A squared, it would be 64x squared. So just A is 8x. Now our B squared is what?
1.
So what's just our B?
1.
1. So now if we did negative 2 times 8x times 1, what do we get? Negative 16x. So now, since that matches this, we can do our shortcut and just plug it in. So what's our A?
X.
What goes in the middle? Minus. And what's our B?
1.
1. So this is our answer.
It's easier than the last section.
Yeah.
Hell no, it's harder. Hell no. Hell yeah. You know, I think it's just because she's doing it with me. And then when it comes look at him.
Okay, so now we're going to do the difference of two squares. So now it's going to give us an A squared minus B squared, and we're going to put it into a plus b times a minus b. So here, what's our a squared? 25x squared. So it's just our first term. How do we find a all by itself? We take the square root. So we get 5x. What's our b squared? 49. Now most people would say it's negative 49, but our negative is always going to stay in the middle, so our b is just what's after the negative, okay? So what's b all by itself? 7. So now we're going to put it into this equation, and we're just going to do a plus b and a minus b. So what's our a?
5x.
And our b?
7.
And then we do 5x minus 7. That's it.
That's only when it's like that.
Yep, only when it's like this, when it just gives you a minus b. So when it's just two terms, so when it's a squared minus b squared, you're going to do it like this. Okay, last example. What's our a squared?
16.
16 what?
X.
16x squared. So what's a all by itself?
4.
For what?
X.
X.
And B is 9.
B squared is 81, so just b is 9. So now we're going to have our two parentheses. What do we put in the parentheses?